All right. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday, wrestling fans, and welcome to a special edition of the No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. I'm Bobby Melendez, joined always by my tag team partner, Josh Kimmel. Special edition show because the biggest icon in professional wrestling has passed away, Hulk Hogan. I think something that I don't know. I mean, obviously everybody passes away, Josh, but it was kind of a surreal moment because you knew as years go on, you see other guys, and these type of guys you never think will go. You just how until they do. Yeah, but Hulk Hogan passing away July 24th of cardiac arrest at his home, and so shocking news. Josh, as we get the show rolling, we'll have some guests on today. Possibly Finn Stanza. Haven't heard back from him, but that's typically his thing. We got Will of 305 Sports Now coming on shortly, probably around like 7:15, and then we'll have Lou and Ashley on around 7:40, who just came from Gatlinburg from the Hulk Hogan shop. So excited to have them on to talk the career of Hulk Hogan, the biggest icon in wrestling. Josh, where were you when you heard the news, my man?
I think I was at work, but for those listening live, it's not 7:15 and 7:45. We're not going that long. It's 5:15. You said 7. It's okay. I understand, Bobby.
Sorry, it's a long day. My bad.
I totally understand. That's why I was like, I'm not going to give you for it right now.
Sorry.
Like, people watching are like, dang, we got to do like, what is this, like an 8-hour podcast? Like, oh,
that's what he deserves. He deserves 8 hours of our show. No,
I don't know, brother. So going into, I was at work. Obviously, I was actually in this chair. This is where I work too. And I wasn't surprised. I was actually not like I knew this was gonna happen, but when Bubba the Love Sponge started saying stuff and then their denials were like, "Oh no, this and that." I'm like, "Well, where there's smoke, there's fire." So I knew something was up, but I obviously don't know Hulk Hogan. I don't know the family. I don't know anything of the situation. But when things kind of surface like that and people start talking, usually they're talking for a reason. So wasn't totally shocked. Like this isn't like a Crispin Wall, Eddie Guerrero situation like that. This is just he's 71 years old. And that's what happens when you take a lot of steroids and you live a life like you do, professional wrestlers. I mean, 71's good for him. That's awesome. Sucks the way he went out. It sucks. It's what sucks the most. And I'll be honest, I'm not a Hogan fan. You know this. I'm not. But we're seeing now on social media and the way people are so ruthless and heartless. And I understand this guy wasn't perceived the best person, but if you want to be, I don't know how to put this, but then don't be like that. Don't be rotten like you perceived Hulk Hogan to be. Be the better person. Just don't say anything at all. The celebration of death is beyond.
That goes with anything. I agree. I think that's
beyond.
I don't care how you feel about somebody. There's a time and a place, and you don't do that when somebody passes away. I'll be honest. Yes, I've seen some of the negativity out there, but I've seen a lot more positivity, and that kind of made me feel a little worse in a way. And I don't mean because, I obviously we know why people feel a certain kind of way about him. We know what happened, 10 years ago, and why, some people still felt that way, even though, they're like, they didn't get the right apology, and whether you think of politics or whatever the hell, whatever's anybody's business, what people's business is their business. But I've seen a lot of positivity. I've seen a lot of people say, this guy, from his companions to his peers in the wrestling business, what you saw yesterday on SmackDown, the arena chanting Hogan, the tears, you see guys coming out, you see DDP yesterday crying, talking about how Hogan gave him an opportunity, how Hogan put him over, how Hogan said, hey man, don't ever change, because DDP was talking about how he was talking on Busted Open Radio, and he was saying like, how he was red hot, but he wasn't getting over. It wasn't working. So he was thinking about changing what he was going to do. And Hogan stopped and said, don't do anything, because I could make a lot of money with you. Don't, and then Hogan with Bischoff was hanging with Bischoff, and he said, Diamond, come here. And he said, Eric, you need to do something with him, man, because we can make a lot of money together. And DDP was getting choking up and saying, man, you never judge the power of someone believing in you. And, you know, what I love that because he's getting his flowers. It's drowning out the hate. And I'm not negating why there's hate. I'm not saying that. But I wish that he would, you know, this happens when anybody, man, right? When someone passes away, whether it's somebody in your family, you're like, man, I wish I said something. I wish I was this. I wish I was that. You know, you're like, damn, man, I wish he, and maybe he did, but I wish he knew he heard all that, you know? So I hear you. I think the negative stuff, it's unnecessary. You know, there's a time and a place for it, but I've been seeing a lot of the positive, which is cool. Um, and like you said, I know you're not a Hogan fan. You've been upfront with that. You know, and it's, you know, whether really not off the stuff, but it was really about the wrestling. It's like you weren't a Hulk Hogan guy, you know, and you'll joke about it doesn't work for me, brother, and all that, you know. But there is no denying. I don't think there is an argument that wrestling would not be what it is today. There would be no WWE, TKO, WWE Alt Sports Entertainment. Wrestling would not be what it is. The AEW, TNA, those really, you know, won't exist without Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan with Vince McMahon, of course, but Hulk Hogan as the first legitimate superstar in wrestling brought it to the mainstream. You know, Johnny Carson, Regis and Kelly, or Regis and whatever, you know, Cat, whatever her name is. You know, he was the one. He did that. And he carried it. And that, and I mean, and this guy had not one big run, which was Hulkamania in the 80s. And then you had Hollywood Hogan, and then his final run, which was in WWE when he came back. So whether you love him, whether you hate him, whatever, there's no denying Hulk Hogan is the biggest icon in wrestling and the most important wrestling superstar ever. Would you debate that at all?
Oh no, you're 1000% correct. He's the most important person, I guess, in the wrestling industry, not Vince McMahon, because Vince is obviously number one in that angle or aspect of it. As far as the talent goes, there's no one more important to any business, entertainment wise, than Hulk Hogan is to the WWE. That even goes to show business. Think about like Paramount Pictures or MGM or all these big studios. They don't rely on just one actor or one person to blow up big. No, that it was a huge company, but as WWE, they needed a Hulk Hogan at that time to blow up for WrestleMania to succeed, for him to cross over to the mainstream media. And really, like I was talking to the guys on Real Talk Wrestling on Vince Talk Extra about, you know, Hulk Hogan to me, my first memory ever was the Rocky movie because I watched Rocky before I watched wrestling. And, you know, my dad would pretend he was Thunder Lips and I'd pretend I was Rocky Balboa, and because he was much bigger than me, and we would pretend like we were fighting, and that was it, Thunder Lips, right? I knew Thunder Lips before I knew Hulk Hogan. Then you know, later on, I'm in middle school, I'm watching wrestling going, "That's Thunder Lips. Oh, he's a bad guy? Oh, because I experienced Hulk Hogan through the NWO and WCW." And, you know, so to me as a kid, not knowing Hogan was Thunder Lips, but knowing, "Oh, that's Thunder Lips," and then me going into wrestling, I probably stayed around because I knew who that was. I mean, I was just a little kid. Imagine how many more kids did that.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. That's the point of making it. He bet on himself because Vince McMahon Sr. told him, you know, if you leave to do that movie, you're not coming back here. Hogan went, all right, bye. He went, he did the movie. He became red hot. He went to with Vern Gagne, became Hulk Hogan. There it was the first time I think he was a babyface, and then Vince McMahon brought him over to lead the WWE. At first, what's the crazy fact was he thought about doing it with Dusty Rhodes, but Dusty Rhodes went back to NWA. So he went with Hogan, and Hogan took it from there. So, you know, it's a Hulk Hogan was wrestling for me. And that's the thing. And this is not something that's just coming up. Josh knows because Josh picks on me all the time. Hulk Hogan was it. You know, that's what made me fall in love with pro wrestling. Hogan was Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan. I remember I used to go, I tell Josh, because I, you know, WrestleMania 1 and 2, obviously I was not even around, but I would go to Hollywood Video when I would go on to my dad's house. When I would stay at my dad's house over the weekend, we'd go to Hollywood Video, Blockbuster in Hialeah, Coral Springs. We'd go to Hollywood Video, and I would rent the old wrestling tapes, and I would watch WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, the SummerSlams and everything. And I mean, I remember, oh my God, Hulk Hogan was, and I was, when it came to the promos, I used, everybody, what do you call it, popped for when he would start to Hulk up. And I mean, all these storybook characters, the Ultimate Warrior, the Giant, Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, oh my goodness, Sergeant Slaughter was so much fun for me with the Iranian flag, and it was like he betrayed America and him, and I mean, he was busted open. Just so much cool. And then when he goes to WCW, and then you have Hollywood Hogan, it was something else. It was, and it's true, it was cool to be bad now. This episode was supposed to be, we were supposed to talk about Kevin Nash and Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels, two dudes with attitudes. And Kevin Nash, him and Scott Hall were the ones who went over and, helped make the NWO and made WCW mainstream. But again, we talked about it. If Hogan didn't join the NWO, if it was Sting, the NWO would not be what it is today. Hogan made that legitimate. It was, and is still the greatest heel turn ever. It is. And it went really well. And again, for him to make that secondary run, and I know a lot of people talk about, oh, he couldn't wrestle. First of all, wrestling is entertainment. You go back and watch what he did in Japan, he could pretty hang. You'd be like, who the hell was this Hogan? Where was he? Well, guess what, brother? He knew how to work. He didn't need to do that in the United States. He knew what entertained the fans. He knew the drama. The fans wanted to see the drama. In Japan, it was different. Those fans wanted that. So he knew, I have to work. And the United States, fans just want to see the entertainment. They want to see the monsters. They want to see the good guy versus the bad guy, do the big couple moves, finish the night. Fans leave happy. He didn't have to do all that, but he could. His trainer, I'm losing the name right now. I don't know if anybody wants to throw that in the comments, who broke his leg but trained him. I mean, that dude was the real deal. That was a real deal player there. So Hogan learned from the best. And I mean, he could go, he didn't play, people say, oh, he didn't work. He wasn't hard. He wasn't like, he didn't have those hardcore matches, not hard, stiff matches. Look at him and Vader. That was a pretty hard hitting match. It's just, there's a lot. Matsuda. Thank you, DSG. So, and it did lead to the Attitude Era. The NWO and Hollywood Hogan led the Attitude Era. That's what started it all.
Let me
Go ahead,
ask you
Josh.
something.
Yeah.
Does Lance Storm, great worker in the ring? Good worker?
Yeah.
Really good, right? Really
absolutely.
Great, right?
100%.
He always put on a great match, right? Will Ospreay, great worker, you would say?
Yes.
Okay.
In
Steven
the ring,
Richards, in the ring.
Yeah, ECW, Steven Richards, yep.
But they're not superstars.
That's right.
When you become a superstar, and this is in all walks of life, whether it's work, your profession, my profession, if you're good at something, if you're really good at something and you're like the guy or gal, you don't have to do as much work as the guys that are below you. You just don't have to.
Fair. Yep.
Why would Hogan do all that? Hogan was always about what's best for himself. That doesn't work for me, brother. You think he wants to get injured? Do you think he wants... Like, most of these guys nowadays should take the same hints from Cena or Hogan. You don't have to work as hard to be as over. Watch a John Cena match now. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. He takes like one bump. That's it.
Cena
you don't have to do that.
I don't know. I don't think Cena, obviously, Maurice, the Miz's wife, talked about Hogan being the first veteran to take her under his wing and kind of coach her up a little bit. I don't know if that ever happened with Cena, but I would say Cena is definitely a student of Hulk Hogan, the businessman, protecting yourself in the ring, working the fans. You want to see a match where he works the fans, and became one of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest WrestleMania match based off the energy was Hogan versus Rock. Hogan worked the crowd. When Hogan came in the ring and saw the tide turn, and he looked around and he was like, wait a second, they're loving me right now. Notice how him and The Rock changed everything up. All of a sudden, Rock was the heel, Hogan was the face, even though Hogan wore the black and white. And then when Hogan, did the leg drop and the crowd was going hulking up, and he does the leg drop, and then Rock kicks out right at the 2.5, and Hogan looks at the crowd like, that's face Hogan. Like, what? Oh no! And the crowd's going, oh my God, these are grown men, Josh. This was us. Those were guys like us going, oh my God! They were freaking out because that's Hulk Hogan. That's what he was. And that's how he was able to work the crowd. And you're 100% right. And we're gonna get Will in here from 305 Sports Now, get his take on Hogan's passing and also Hogan's legacy in wrestling. But that you're absolutely right. Guys like Will Ospreay, the Stevie Richards, that were like, legitimate. You go, man, those workers. Those are like Ric Flair said it best. They say, Rick, you're the greatest professional wrestler of all time. And Rick will say, yeah, he said this recently. And it was tough watching him. And it was tough watching Eric Bischoff a minute ago. But Rick says, yeah, but Hulk Hogan was the greatest superstar of all time. And that's what it was. Ric Flair was Ric Flair before Hogan. I mean, Ric Flair was the greatest worker in the ring. He made everybody look like $1 million, but he didn't draw like Hogan. Like The Rock said when he was honoring Hulk Hogan, thanks for the house, brother. That's what Hogan was. Everybody wants to shit talk Hogan all they want, but they won't recognize it. The reason why, and that goes for his peers who are haters to the fans that are haters. They don't want to recognize the reason why this house is full. The reason why Josh and I are doing this now, why any wrestling fan does a podcast, or why every wrestling fan is watching wrestling right now. They're in their AEW basements cheering on, and WWE basement, whatever the hell they're doing, or they're, in their attics. The reason why they're on the internet, because of Hulk Hogan. He made that what it is. Vince McMahon would not be Vince McMahon without Hulk Hogan. Any response to that before we bring in Will?
No, let's bring in Will.
Let's do it, man. Will Patron of the 305 Sports Now. What's up, Will? How you doing, brother?
Good. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you good, man.
Awesome. Josh, a pleasure to meet you. I see you a couple of times on FTS. It's a pleasure to finally be on with you.
Right on. Yeah, man. Pleasure to see you as well, or meet you as well.
Okay. I've been on with Bobby a bunch of times, so, Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I told you through text, Bobby, this death really did sting. I would say this one for me, Stan Lee's passing, Kevin Conroy, I'm a big Batman fan. Those deaths really did affect. But the day with Hulk Hogan, and I was on with Adrian Rainey, the Rain Day podcast today. He had his own tribute to Hulk, and one thing about Hulk Hogan is that no matter what his peers said about him, no matter what the newspaper nerds said about him, and so on, he really was good to his fans. And I remember when some of my best memories with my father were watching WWE and also going to the Miami Arena at the time. And I remember this perfectly. My father, I don't know if he paid for the ticket or if he knew a cop, wink, wink, that had 2 empty seats in the front. But I sat right behind the steel rail, the real steel railing they had back in the 80s. That was right between the entrance and the actual ring. So I was facing basically the walkway the wrestlers would come in through. And it was Andre the Giant, Ted DiBiase. It was Ravishing Rick Rude, the Macho Man Randy Savage. They all wrestled that night. It was a house show. And when Hulk Hogan came out, forget it. The whole roof blew off, man. Every single time that man came out. But I remember 8-year-old Will, okay, screaming, Hogan! Hogan! With my Hulk Hogan, Hulk Rule shirt at the time, Hulkamania shirt at the time. Hulk Hogan, I guess I was so loud, actually locked eyes with me and did his little, when he saw me. That was Hulk Hogan. That's the Hulk Hogan I remember. And that's why when people trash him and stuff like that, it hurts because it's like, I agree with you, Bobby, and I go as far back as the betrayal of Paul Orndorff. I actually saw that happen on television. That's how far back I go with Hulk Hogan. I also remember Saturday Night Main Event, the betrayal, the whole Earl Hebner, Dave Hebner referee, situation. I saw that on Saturday Night Main Event. It drew like 35 million people. I remember all that like it was yesterday, but that's the Hulk Hogan I know. And all of us in kindergarten, we were 5 years old. All of us were allowed that one day we're allowed to bring toys. Every single, especially the boys in kindergarten, had a Hulk Hogan toy. And we all beat up the Iron Sheik.
You know what? I love that you say that, because this is one thing I will say, because if anybody wanted to, and I'll let you keep going, Will, but I want to say that now that's on my head. If anybody wanted to question, and I know most people won't, but I've seen it before. If people want to question Hogan's impact, or Hogan's still to this day what he means to professional wrestling, don't go too far to see what's happening right now. Look at the reaction. If you turn on as soon as the news came out that he passed away, it was like the Pope or whatever, all of a sudden it's on every channel, every radio station, every podcast, everybody's talking, holy crap, Hulk Hogan just died. And it's like, wait, is that true? I didn't believe it. I kept checking. I kept hoping TMZ was wrong. I mean, I'm telling you, that's just the kid in me. I was like, oh, come on, dude. That's BS. Yes, Josh is right. especially for somebody like Bubba who was once close with Hogan, for him to come out and say that, and and it's like, wait, there must, if there's smoke this Friday, maybe because there was other stuff too. We won't get into all that, but there was other things saying like, hey, he's not doing too good, and they were shutting it down. And then Bubba came out and said something, and then you find out, well, wait, it wasn't like an immediate thing, or was it like they were kind of prepping for it and then it happened at home? So, but for that to happen and to see the type of reaction it's getting from everybody just tells you what he meant, not just to professional wrestling, but to the culture in all. It's bigger than wrestling, and that's who he was. This is like, like you said, this was a huge loss. This was like, who somebody said it yesterday. I don't know if it's David LaGreca from Busted Open. He had I heard him on the radio, and he's not a Hogan guy, but he had a great kind of tribute, that he brought up, and it was so fair. But I think it was like, I think he said it, or maybe his co-host has said it, who was on ESPN. He was like, Hogan was to wrestling, to sports, what Michael Jordan was to basketball, and or Gretzky was the hockey or whatever. And it's like, it's so true. He was the Babe Ruth of professional wrestling. There's no denying it. But go ahead, Will. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, absolutely no. And I mean, everything you say is absolutely correct. And like, I remember the heel turn, like no heel turn in history, even whether recent or in the past, has ever had an impact the way Hulk Hogan's heel turn to the NWO had on professional wrestling. Everyone was totally shocked that he had that heel turn. And even Kevin Nash looked back when he saw all that trash in the ring and said, wow, like, it was amazing. Not Cena's heel turn, not Austin's heel turn, not Sting's heel turn, which probably no one asked for Sting's heel turn, not Sting's heel turn, not Cena's Rock's heel turn. No heel turn in the history of professional wrestling, whether in the past or in the present, had the impact that Hogan's heel turn to the NWO had. And it changed wrestling. And you're absolutely right, Bobby. It made WWE up its game, because WCW was kicking the crap out of them for, of course, Eric Bischoff reminds everybody all the time, 83 weeks. So it made WWE a much better company, in my opinion, the Hulk Hogan heel turn to the NWO. And and I've told you, Bobby, about this before, when we talked, off air one day, the whole politics thing in reference to Hulk Hogan, the way he behaved and in the locker room and so on. Listen, the way Vince ran WWE in that period, the whole survival of the fittest type of deal in the locker room, that the top guy, the number one guy, gets all the money and so on. I could understand why wrestlers would kind of do that to each other. We saw it with the Montreal Screwjob when Bret didn't want a job to Shawn. Didn't want a job to Shawn, and Bret and Shawn and Triple H went to business and visited, and they basically screwed Bret. But Bret at the beginning didn't want to, because they didn't want to follow a plan. So those, and then we know about Austin and Brock Lesnar. The whole Austin Brock Lesnar thing as well. He didn't want a job, in general, to Brock on a Monday Night Raw, and it caused a lot of ripples and backstage. So I mean, it's just the way the business, it's predetermined. And if a wrestler doesn't like, what the predetermination is, if they have the kind of power the weight Hulk Hogan has, I can see how they will want to use it, at that capacity. So I mean, it is what it is. No one's perfect. All right, no one's perfect. Hogan was a flawed man, especially more towards the end of his career. We found that out. Okay, was a very flawed man. But I'm gonna say this right now. If you peel back the onion on every single human being in the world, unless your name is Jesus Christ, we could find something on you. No one is perfect at all. All right, at all. I mean, we've heard stuff about Steve Austin. We've heard stuff about Ric Flair. We've heard stuff about, Shawn Michaels in his early days as well. Dan Le Batard, when the whole thing happened with Hulk Hogan, said, that's not the man I covered when I was covering wrestling. And even his peers said, that's not who he is. The Rock was one of the first ones to actually defend him when all that stuff came out in 2015 of the release tape, in general. So again, a very flawed individual, but spitting on his legacy, in general, and minimizing the contributions that he made to wrestling. And I even heard online a couple months ago, wrestling doesn't need Hulk Hogan. That to me is sad, and that to me is neglectful, because the reason why everybody is watching wrestling today is because of Hulk Hogan, and that's pretty much the bottom line, the way I see it. Everyone today, except for Josh Kimmel, but well, you sort of, actually, because you're a Thunderlips guy. But anyways, but everybody today their wrestling fandom, especially if you're Gen X, moving on to like older millennials and so on, your wrestling fandom to some extent to Hulk Hogan because he got you through the door and he got you watching. I mean that's really my take. So again, rest in peace to a legend, an icon. Again, it's wonderful memories. As well, my son, he likes my Hulk Hogan impersonation. So Hulk Hogan's legacy is gonna live through my son as well because he's soon to become a wrestling fan. He's already starting to pique interest as well in wrestling. He's already asking who's who when he looks at my old wrestling DVDs, in general, and that's all because of him.
How old is he? Just curious.
My son's 5.
5. Okay.
My son's 5. He likes the Undertaker, and he's been watching clips of Hulk Hogan. I had watching Rivals on YouTube, the A&E WWE series Rivals, and he's watching Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, and he's like, "Why is that giant so big?"
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
yeah, he's 5. I was 4 when I got into wrestling, and my son's 5.
Yeah, I guess I was a late bloomer compared to you guys. I was maybe 6th grade, 5th grade when the NWO was the hottest. That's when I got into wrestling because everyone else was watching wrestling in middle school. Everybody, it was. Did you see what The Rock did? Did you see what Stone Cold did? So I would just tune in. Me, I prefer Chris Jericho, Raven, those guys. When Hogan was on TV, I just kind of walked away. Wasn't interested. Never was interested in the older guys, but I understood the impact. My dad explained it. My dad would watch it with me and tell me like, "Oh, this is this is this, this is why."
Yeah.
My mom was a huge Kevin Nash lover, by the way. That's why we didn't watch wrestling together.
a lot of when I was in high school, a lot of the girls liked Kevin Nash too. That was their favorite NWO member. But Bobby, I wanted to make a point that you made about Hogan in Japan. He actually did Insigiri's as well when he was in Japan. But I heard this story. I know you guys are more plugged in. If you could clarify it, I think one of the main reasons why he didn't do more of those stunts in WWF is Vince told him not to do that because that will lead to injury, and he's the golden goose. It was the golden goose.
It wasn't necessary. The house was still full with Hogan doing the bare minimum, and sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't do the bare minimum. But people were going to see Hulk Hogan main event that show, and nowadays fans would love to see us, like, if Hogan was around now, they would love to see someone like Hogan do his Insiguri, but they don't need that. He didn't need that then. Hogan's, yes, I read that Rowdy Hogan, the super fan, died in the same week as Hogan.
Yes,
I did see Eric Bischoff. I did see Eric Bischoff's first live or his interview on his podcast 83 Weeks, where he broke down because now he's home. Before he was like, he said he was just doing a bunch of interviews. He's it's just been nonstop. When he found out, now that he's home, it's kind of hitting him, which it makes sense. I mean, how close those two were and what they've been able to do together and what they were planning to do, because we knew Hogan's Real Wrestling was about to start. Now, of course, Hogan's gone, and there's a lot of tributes and coming in, Mark Henry, who, towards the end of Hogan's life, and great point too. I mean, I think everybody could agree that nobody's, what do you call, like, that's why the saying, whoever cast the first stone, I think that's a very important. Not everybody, everybody's shit stinks, I have to say it like that. And so, but at the same time, like, again, I understand those who still were hurt with what later in what happened. Like, and Mark Henry was rightfully so, and is rightfully, but he even said, he goes, when you say Mount Rushmore, when you're talking about Mount Rushmore of wrestling, Hulk Hogan always has to be there. He should always be there. Ric Flair's that other guy. That's what I heard on the radio the other day on Busted Open. The only two guys that you never take off should be Hogan and Ric Flair. Then the other two you could figure out from there. There's a debate and there's a talk there, and it's so true. And so, to see everyone coming out, Bully Ray with his piece, Devon Dudley came out, Teddy Long, came out, said that, it's crazy because he was just that morning, he found what Josh was hearing and what we all saw with Bubba the Love Sponge, he's like, well, let me go. And he texted Jimmy Hart, or called Jimmy Hart, and Teddy Long, former GM of SmackDown, you have the match with The Undertaker. It was a famous thing he always said. He called Teddy. I mean, he called Jimmy Hart and was like, hey, what's going on? He never had any storylines directed with Hogan, but he worked with Hogan a lot back in the day. And he told him, oh, he's fine. And he goes, well, just tell him I love him. This is what Teddy Long said was his, tell Hogan I love him. And, we'll hopefully once he's better, we'll catch up. And then he found out a little later, about 30 minutes later, Hogan died. Devon just released something here. Devon Dudley, just talking about forgiveness and, we are all guilty one way, shape, or form of saying something or doing something that would be considered appropriate. I'm not condoning in any way what happened or what was said at its lowest point, because listen, I'm African American. I get it. Okay. If anybody gets it, it's us as African American people. Let me see. There's this here. But at the same time, you can't deny what this man has done for the wrestling business. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, there would be no WWE. There would be no AEW. There would be no TNA. There would be none of this. We wouldn't even be having this platform right now. We're able to still be relevant in this business because of that man. The business is hot right now. So for people to say what they say about the comments he made, I get it. I understand why you're hurt by it. I was hurt by it too. But like the Bible says, forgive. Because if you don't forgive your brother, I will not forgive you. And that's what the Bible says. Devon Dudley about Hulk Hogan, and he posted a picture about him and Hogan. Shane McMahon came out with a piece. Again, Maurice came out. Shane McMahon said, my dad could not have been more eloquent about what he wrote about the Hulkster. What a deep loss for us all. Hulk's legacy is truly immortal. Thank you, Terry, for everything you did for both the McMahon and WWE family. We will miss you. Godspeed, brother. Adam Copeland. As a kid, he made me believe I could catch my dreams. What a gift. Then he helped me catch some of them. He was the inspiration that made me believe I could be a wrestler, forever changing the course of my life. He was the hero I needed and at a pivotal time in my development. Thanks, Terry. I'll miss you and our talks. Love you, brother. The British Bulldog's son, Davey Boy Smith, posted a picture of Hogan and Davey Boy's brother, the Davey Boy's son. His brother Hogan and my brother at our father's funeral in 2002. Hulk went out of his way to attend the funeral in Calgary. I won't forget that. He was a friend to my dad, and like my brother said in his post, Hulk was really nice to my family and I. He showed us love during this. See if I missed anything else, but I know Charlotte Flair posted something about when Hogan. Stop it. Talking about when Ric Flair was dying, and during that time, and Hogan was the one that was there for them. Flair talking about what Hogan meant to him. It's just a lot of good stuff coming in from the wrestling family around the world. But before we let Will off the hook here, Josh, any thoughts on what Will had to say or anything you're hearing here?
No, I think it's nice to hear, other people that I've never met before's perspective. And I can tell that you grew up watching Hogan at a young age. And I didn't. I just wish, what would I be? Who would I be if I watched wrestling just about 5 to 7 years younger? Would I be a Hulkamaniac? These are the things, because you say it was the greatest heel turn of all time, and it was. I'm not denying that, but in 30 years from now, are we going to say a Romans was with the bloodline story? Like, as time passes, how long will this be the greatest heel turn of all time? As people my son's age are going to grow up going, well, Roman's turn led a 3.5-year title reign with the greatest storyline in WWE history. That's something to think about as we all get older. Is I wonder how long Hogan's going to stay around.
Well, I think people in our generation would keep it going. But yeah, I think as we get further away, and our children's children are watching wrestling and they start to forget that, then that might change. I mean, the wrestling historians will keep it relevant. Yep. I know my son is a Hulkamaniac. I mean, he obviously, if you play Hogan in the game, every time we're in the car, he's watching a Hulk Hogan DVD and he's cheering like the match is happening right there. I'm like, dude, lower your voice. He's like, come on, Hogan! Oh, leg drop! Like, okay, dude, dang, dude. Like, he's like, he's facing this one. I was like, he wins. Spoiler alert. Can we chill for a second? I'm popping my eardrum. But Will, my man, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on with us, my brother. For those who love Dolphins, love sports, Miami sports, go check out Will on 305 Sports Now, covering the hurricane season around the corner. Will, what do you got brewing over at 305 Sports?
All right. Well, I'm sometime this week, I'm planning to do a little special on who really had the better Canes team was the 2000 or 2001, because the 2000 Canes team, even though it had one loss and didn't make the national championship game based upon controversy, it still had guys like Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, and Dan Morgan on the roster. So that's something to think about over the 2001 team. And on Wednesday's my birthday. Wednesday's my birthday. I'm turning 45 years old, and I'm going to be doing a live birthday special with former Mike Leach assistant coach Manny Matsakis, Alex Dono, and Flo of the Miami Flow Network as well, and Q from I Hate Football Podcast will make an appearance as well. So
there you go. Well, happy early birthday to you. Mine is on Monday, so
awesome.
So it's right. We got a good week, man. We got a good week. So I appreciate
Bobby,
you.
really quickly. It's at 3 p.m. But I know you're working. But if you want to hop on, just to say hello, happy birthday, give a couple two sets there. I'll love to have you on.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'll work it out. I could sneak away. All right, my man. Okay. Well, keep me posted on it, okay? All right, brother. Later, Will. Appreciate you.
Likewise. Bye.
All right, man. All right, so Will is out. We appreciate Will taking the time. We're going to bring in Ashley and Lou, who just came from their vacation in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. I mean, those pictures were freaking awesome, but some cool pictures came in. Was Hulk Hogan's wrestling shop in Pigeon Forge. If I pull that up very quick, they were so nice to send it. Look at that. Look at that. That is freaking neat. Hogan always was, and again, Josh can attest to this, as long as he's known me, we've talked about this, and it was always my favorite wrestler. There was, it's just bar none, but he's the one guy that I never got to see live. Never. I don't remember ever seeing Hogan, and that was a drag. But
can I ask you something before?
Yeah.
We can bring in our guests as well if you want, but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If someone texted you, like, let's say I texted you, hey, Bobby, Hogan's at Total Wine, which is 10 minutes from your house, doing autographs or whatever for his American beer. Would you rush in your car and go? Would you go, I don't give a fuck? What would you do? Because this scenario happened to me 2 months ago. And you can guess what I said.
Well, I would go with the second option, knowing you grumpy asshole man. Were you sleeping? It was noon. You were probably taking a nap.
Oh, Koppler, because there's a Total Wine about 6 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Chris Hopper live like really close to each other. Total Wine's right down the road. And Hogan was doing a Real American promotion, and he went up there and saw it, and I'm like, brother, I'd pay not to see Hulk Hogan. And honestly, now I wish I kind of seriously, I kind of wish I would.
I would pay not to see Hulk Hogan. There's a prick, and then there's you. No, just playing. Honestly, Hogan would be a guy that I would go see. Depending on how crazy the line is, I would do it, because that would be like you're meeting your childhood hero, that you grew up watching. But let's bring in Lou and Ashley. They're laughing like crazy back there. How are you two doing? Are you guys recovered from the vacation? Got that tan going from the training camp today? How you doing?
Yeah, it was a scorcher out there today, but yeah, no, we had a great time. We love Tennessee.
We love Tennessee.
We love your state.
Amazing.
You guys look like you had a blast. Was Gatlinburg? I know you guys spent a lot of time. Was it everything I kind of told you guys about? Were you able to enjoy everything?
So we watched like videos on TikTok and everything, and like we prepared for it. But until you're like actually there and you breathe the air and you see and the nature and stuff, like it was so good. I highly recommend anybody who does what we do, especially like in sports and podcasting, before football season, to just get out there and just like prepare yourself for the craziness that's coming out, that the football season is going to bring upon us, because it recharges you. Like, I'm ready for football season now because of going to Tennessee.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. So first off, thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on, and for a few, I said 15, 20, you guys are amazing. I know how busy you are. I know you guys were at the training camp today for the Dolphins. That was really cool. But we got some news this week, 2 days ago, the 24th, Hulk Hogan, the biggest icon in professional wrestling, passing away. Asha, start with you, and then Lou, follow up. What was your reaction, especially after coming from Pigeon Forge and going to his shop, and you were wearing his stuff, and you were standing in that ring or next to that ring? What was your reaction hearing that news, and what did he mean to you as a wrestling fan?
Yeah, so that Thursday morning, I was on Twitter. It was a quiet day at work, so I'm scrolling. We got off the phone maybe like 3 minutes before that, And I try not to call him back right after, but I'm a female, so we tend to do that. Like, and so I'm scrolling and I see it, but I'm the type where I need to fact check because there's a lot of caca out there. So
Yep.
I see something and then my heart drops. So then like I put it in the computer and then I'm seeing it. The second I realize that it's true, I felt like I was telling Lou that somebody in his family or somebody he was close to was passing away. So it hurt me. But then it hurt me more to have to make that call to him because I knew he was real busy at work. He was doing different things and I knew he wasn't going to see it. So again, I saw it, but then it hurt more knowing I was going to make the call to him. So then 3 minutes later, I call him and he almost didn't pick up because he was like, oh, what does she want now? And I said, babe. And he said, what? And I like gasped and I said, and I calmed my voice and I said, Hulk Hogan died. And then
I couldn't believe it. It was shocking. The only thing I could compare it to before is when somebody told me that Kobe had passed away in a plane crash, in a helicopter crash. I mean, that's the that instant reaction, like, it can't be. What do you mean? And so I couldn't believe that. In this particular case, as you mentioned, we were just in his shop literally the week 6 days previous, and Ashley was actually editing this video that she posted, a walkthrough of the store, and so we were in the middle of doing that, and was happy to share that information out there, and just could not believe it. And when we were at the store, the general manager actually told us, it was a soft opening for the store. It hasn't fully opened, it's grabbed an opening yet, and Hulk Hogan was supposed to come out at the end of this month or early August to be there for the official grand opening. And, here's Ashley giving me this news. It was tough to take.
Yeah. So I told him and he was like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And it was just, he was like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And so, yeah, it was icky. It was real, just bad, man. And then Ozzy Osbourne, obviously that's another character, but this is bigger than Ozzy. So it hurt us more.
Yeah, I'm dealing with one now. I had a rough night with a migraine, so I woke up and I did some stuff, and then I laid back down, was taking a nap. Tati was working. I didn't go to the office, so I took a nap, and Tati's desk is right next to the bed, and I'm relaxing. I finally able to doze off, and all of a sudden, like, I just feel like this arm touched me real soft, and she goes, honey, Bobby, and I'm like, what? And I said, what's up? And she goes, I don't know if this is a prank. Because it was Evan Finstanza, She goes, I think Evan just texted you. He said Hulk Hogan R.I.P. And I'm like, what? He goes, Hulk Hogan R.I.P. And of course, you hear kind of the rumors that were coming before. So I'm like, of course, like you, Ashley, I don't believe anything. I have to do a bunch of research because you can't trust a damn thing anymore. So I see TMZ's reporting it, and I go to I see every news channel, and like I said, Hogan, it's like the Pope dies and. It's all over the news. It's Hogan dies, and it was every news channel, and it was shocking. It like you said, it's like a family member. It was kind of like, and that's how Tati was, and I said, my goodness, it's like, and was it? Yeah, well, it's crazy. It was the guy from the Cosby Show, Jerome, right? Jerome, and then Ozzy, and my mother-in-law was like, Bobby, can you believe it? The one from the Cosby Show and now Ozzy Osbourne. I go, well, there's one left because usually comes in threes. And then I found out Hogan, and I'm like, well, son of a, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow, So it's been a crazy week, and I think most of us, minus Josh, had that type of reaction. Josh was like, it's about damn time, But
come on, Josh. What are you talking about, brother?
He's the heel of the show, by the way.
Someone has to be.
Someone has to be.
True,
it depends what we're talking about. It depends
but I will say though, I wasn't surprised at all. Because I'm a nerd. If I can't sleep at night, I'll put the buds in and I'll listen to Brian Alvarez, Wrestling Observer Radio, David Meltzer. I listen to that stuff. And they did literally the day before Hogan passed away. They were talking about Bubba the Love Sponge and how he's been saying this and that. And I'm like, so it's in my mind. And I told before you guys were in the background, I was telling everybody, like, it had to mean something. Bubba the Love Sponge actually knows the family, knows what's going on, knows that probably knows everything. Everyone ignored it. And I'm like, there's something going on. So when he passed away, I got a text message from my friend Chris, who I do a wrestling show with here on Finn's Talk Extra, though. Chris Koffler. He's like, Hulk Hogan died. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not shocked, but it's not, I hate the negativity, which we talked about before you guys came on too. The negative people out there. It's just, what are we doing? Everyone has a family member that has either done something wrong or has been perceived wrong or whatever, and you love that person no matter what, and then you got to read these bad things about this person. It's not cool, man. I'm dealing with that personally at this moment, actually, with my daughter and her real biological dad. It just sucks. It's like, just because we have this outlet on the internet doesn't mean we need to post our shitty feelings about everything. And if you just wishing this and celebrating it shows that you're a shitty person. You're the shitty
100%.
person that you thought Hulk Hogan was. And that's how I feel about it.
Agree 100%. I've been engaged with some people who I consider friends and still consider friends that have said some outlandish things. And you can say whatever you want. The words that he said were less than ideal. Number one, they were private. So it wasn't like he went out there and just went off a rant. Not excusing it. But at the end of the day, they're words. And you could take back words and you could forgive people for words. All right. I'm not a preacher. I'm not, the next coming of whatever, but I'm not anyone, or neither is anyone else for that matter, to judge when a person's time should pass, or certainly wish that they go to the wrong end place, in this case being hell, which a lot of people were saying that he belongs there for those remarks. That's ridiculous, And again, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But now if you want to throw out like a Hitler or Bin Laden or Castro, okay, maybe those people deserve a space there. But, don't come out here and say a guy who said words is heading in that direction. That's just outlandish and ridiculous. Again, not condoning his actions. They were wrong. The words are not something that somebody should be saying, but let's get a grip here. Let's get a grip and not go off the rails like some of these people have been doing, which is crazy. And then the worst part about it is that if you say that you are idolizing Hulk Hogan or he was a part of your, if you're saying anything but what they're agreeing upon, then you must be a racist too, which is, mind blown on that. I can't understand that concept. Ridiculous.
No, it brings out the ugly in a lot of people. And I think Josh had said it earlier, and somebody had said it, but it's true. It's like when you start doing that, and then you become what you're saying he was or is from that one time he mentioned that, and you go, and then that's why, like right now, it's about that's why in my post, the way I said it was, and because it sucked that I had to be like, I don't want to say careful with what I was writing, when he passed away, because it took me a while. It's like family. It's the guy I grew up watching, and I was like, but I was like, man, okay, but I don't want to say anything that's gonna get, because I don't like arguing with anybody. I don't argue with people on the internet. I don't got time for that. I got a life. Ain't got time to do that shit. But
your words are perfect. Even I said, Bob, you so well said with the heart. Like you said it to the T. You really did. I mean, you could tell that you took time. You just didn't blab it out. Like you.
Yeah, I had to, and it sucked that I had to do it. But at the same time, I was like, because this is the if you're thinking about the man Terry Bollea, nobody's perfect, right? I think we all can agree, none of us. And that's something that I said, and I'm not condoning nor ignoring what was said or done or whatever. But when Teddy Long comes out and was like, hey man, tell him I love him, before he passed away. And Teddy Long was someone who came out and accused Ric Flair of saying those words to him in his face. And people love Ric Flair. They don't Ric Flair, so it's like nobody's clean. Steve Austin has his history. Everybody has that. But this is not about the man. This is about the brand. This is about the character, Hulk Hogan's character. That man, growing up, if you were a Lou or a Bobby, not a Josh, if you were watching Hulk Hogan on TV, red, white, and blue, the black and white, and Josh was looking at the Chris Jericho in the corner with the gym shorts, and it was like, man, that's the guy I want to be.
It's cool, Josh.
I'm just messing with him. No, but that's the Hogan I'm talking. Like that was cool. And then if it's different if you want to talk about backstage politics and it doesn't work for me, brother. That's an argument you can have all day. But again, at the same time, that's why he's Hulk Hogan. Yeah. He was that big. He deserved that conversation. He deserved. Now, creative control, we could go back and forth all day. We, Josh, have before going back on creative control. But I think when you're that type of level superstar, which Hogan was that first guy. That's why there's Roman Reigns and John Cena and all those guys. The reason why they have all that power, Mercedes Moné, Hulk Hogan.
They laid
He's
the
the one-
path. That's why
He
laid the
created
path.
that. He made the superstar. There's going to be wrestlers. Oh, that guy is fun. I like when that guy does 5 flips in the ring and doesn't fall or doesn't do anything. But I'd rather watch this guy who's the superstar who's taking the crowds going nuts, and he just does 3 moves, and yet we still buy his merch and everything else. The John Cena. I'd rather see a John Cena match all day over Will Ospreay. It's more entertaining for me. And I don't know if you guys know who Will Ospreay is. Do you know who Will Ospreay is?
I do not.
We don't.
John Cena, I do. No, well,
Yeah. Can't say.
They're just being cool, Bobby. They're just being cool for the people.
I was gonna say, point proven, brother. That's all I gotta
There you
say.
go.
So let me tell you kind of where we are with Hulk Hogan, right? Lou and I
Yes.
we have 2 very different stories. So I don't want to poop on your parade, but Lou grew up in the 80s, so he knows Hulk Hogan wrestling. Like that was his childhood into the early 90s. Ash wasn't around then. So my story of Hulk Hogan is very different. Growing up, like in my late teens, everyone told me I looked like this girl, Brooke Hogan. And I'm like, who the heck is Brooke Hogan? And I looked her up. And sure enough, like, I'm like, wow. And I got it all the time. Brooke. At the same time, Hogan Knows Best, the TV show, came out. So I became addicted to it, right? Like that was like the first reality TV show in my teens that I watched it all the time. And like, with his wife, Linda, I'll never forget the episode that Linda was training with like this hot Italian trainer. And Linda brought home the trainer, and the Hulk said, "What's your last name?" The trainer said, "What's it to you?" And Hulk said, "Get the F out of my house," and stuff. I said, this guy's pretty dang cool. Now, I will tell you, I was a big wrestling fan growing up, but different time than the Hulk.
Right.
Matt Hardy was my everything. Rikishi, Kurt Angle, like Triple H. That's the wrestling. I went to WrestleMania 32 in Texas, in Dallas. Like, that's the wrestling I know. But Lou has introduced me to Hulk back in the 80s and 90s. So that is very different than my story.
Yeah, no. And so we've gone. He has 2 stores down here in Florida. He's got one in his hometown, Clearwater, and then one in Orlando as well. And then he just, I mean, it's officially not open yet, but the one in Pigeon Forge in your back of the woods. And I have some merch here that I'd like to show as well. But yeah, no, I grew up with the Hulkster, and man, it hit hard because he was the first superstar that I saw. People, there's certain guys that go by one name, it'd be like Elvis, Michael Jackson, and I think that his legacy will live on like that, just like those guys, because look at Randy Macho Man Savage. He's been gone for 15 plus years, and he's still, out there, the memes, everything. People love Macho Man. I think obviously Hulk was bigger than that. I was able to watch him one time at the old James L. Knight Center before the Miami Arena. That's how late I go back. I was 8 or 9 years old, similar to what Will said. And I saw him at the James L. Knight Center. He went up against Kamala, not the former vice president, but he was a big African. Yeah, he was a big African dude, 500 pounds. And that was his bag. He came out. He was like from the tribe of Africa. And big dude. And Hulk Hogan at the James L. Knight Center picked him up, 500 pounds of him, slammed him, and did his signature leg cross on him. Finished it up, and so that was the one time that I saw him live. It was a rock star atmosphere. I've been searching since he passed for that footage. I can't find it anywhere, but I still remember it. It's amazing how all these years, almost 40 years since this happened, and I still remember vividly because I saw the great Hulk Hogan live. Also saw him at the Miami Arena in pay-per-view settings. That was big back then, that you couldn't have it today's day because of social media and all that. But to go to a venue and, see the old pay-per-view format where they'd be showing it on a big screen, and it was sold out, 17, 18,000 people to not watch a live event, to watch it on pay-per-view. Only Hulk Hogan could do that. And the final story I have as a kid, I used to get the old.
This is so bad.
It's embarrassing. I actually just told her about it before we were going to come on here.
Oh my God.
I used to get the old Publix bags. Grocery store bag, whatever.
Plastic bags.
I would make 2 holes in it, and I would put it on like overalls. I would put it on like overalls, and I would rip it off. Like if I was a Hulkster, because I couldn't really rip up a shirt, so I would rip it up like I was Hulk Hogan. And I spent hours doing that as a kid.
Okay,
man.
but
Just
tell
got
them the
everything.
rest of the story. So we got out of the pool like 2 hours ago, and he was like, "I need to tell you something." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "I used to do something," right? So he's like, "I used to do something really weird." And I'm like, "I've heard it all. What, a towel? Like whatever. Like you're weird. I already know it." And he was like, "I used to take Publix bags when I was a kid, put holes in it. And I already thought gross. I don't want to hear anymore." Right? I'm like, "Stop! Like we're your head. Like this is disgusting." And he was like, "And I just did it the other day." I said, "Wait, what?" So I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I tried to do it.
He tried to do
I
it.
could not fit into the bag.
And
so
then he told me, and he was like, "You put the 2 holes," and he was like, "Babe," he was like, "Can you try it?" So I was like, I'm like, "Ooh, this sounds nice and spicy," right? So I, had my bathing suit on, and I'm a large girl, but I'm not that large. I'm decent size, fun size. And I took the bag, I took 2 holes, and I lifted it up. And I ripped it off. Oh, I'm telling you, man, he was
pretty good.
He was very excited. It was a beautiful. I said, I'm not the Hulk, but I'll the Hulkomania. But no, but he had like this vision. I could see like a kid doing it, but he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh."
Have Tristan do it, man. It's to rip it off.
No, he wants Tati to do it now. He wants Tati.
We got some Publix bags over there. You got some Publix bags.
Tati's half my size. It'll be perfect for Tati. I mean, I was like breaking the bottom of it, but yeah, I said, okay, I don't need to know.
I just love the way that started. Everybody made me think of like a comedy movie. It's like, babe, I got to tell you something. What? It's like, you love me, right? We're good. We're happy. Yes. Okay. I got to tell you this weird thing I did. Wait, what? Plastic bags. It's like that one time at band camp. It's like, wait, what? It's like, that is awesome.
I'm like cutting all the bags now. I just want to get rid of them. They'll go recycle.
It's like, don't throw away any bags. I don't know. See, you would be happy here because these people never throw away bags. I don't know why we have so many bags within bags. It's like we collect.
Lou does too.
So look, speaking of bags, so this is what we got at the Hulk Hogan store. Yeah. It says Hulk still rules.
Explain it here.
And then
I'll take it out. You can explain. I'll take it out.
I got 2 purchases. This awesome Hulkamania camo hat. Very very cool. I dig that.
Okay, I'll put the bag down for now.
And then she'll show you this.
Okay, let me show. Okay.
It's a Tennessee themed Hulk shirt. So you got Dolly Parton over here.
Oh, look at that. Jimmy Hart.
He's arm wrestling a bear, of course. And then you got the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart over here. And it says Pigeon Forge on it. So, really cool shirt. And again, we just got this last Thursday.
So crazy.
I wish I would have gotten more stuff, but who would ever think?
So I remember asking the general manager because a month before that, we were at Hogan's hangout in Clearwater, the restaurant. And we were just like talking to the bartender. We're like, "How's he doing?" He's like, "He had surgery a few weeks ago, but he's doing good." So when we were at the store last week, I asked the general manager, I said, "Hey, how is he doing?" And he said, "No, he's doing excellent." And then sure enough, this happens. Yeah. So
and again, he was supposed to be there, if not this upcoming week, soon. First week of August for the official grand opening. So it's just crazy the way things work. But Ashley did the video. It's on there. You can see it. And she's wearing what you just showed, the feather boa, which actually the Hulkster wore. It's his feather boa. Yeah. They keep it in the store. And you can see it on the video. I'm not making this up. This is how popular he is. Whenever they put the boa, you got to pay to put the boa on. He let us do it because we were doing a video. But it normally costs $25 to $40, depending on how busy the store is, to put the boa on. And this is a true story. Whenever they put it on, naturally feathers fall off. They sell the feathers for $200.
He authenticates
and I imagine more now. I imagine more because it's coming from an actual boa that Hulk Hogan wore. Yeah. And so he sells them. He says he sells them for $200
after he authenticates
with a certificate of authenticity. So crazy.
So it's just nuts. It's wild.
That is nuts. But it also tells you, and you're right that you would think like, damn, dude, he died and he just opened that store. But that store is probably going to become very popular now just because usually happens that way. I'm going to ask you guys each, Lou as an OG Hogan fan, Ashley as a kind of NG new generation Hogan fan, and then Josh to follow up with what is your favorite Hulk Hogan memory in wrestling as a career? Like, what was your favorite? Like when you think like, man, I love that. You always go back to it. What is it, Lou?
Man, him slamming onto the Giant. Him slamming onto the Giant and his leg drop. It's so many things. The one moment would probably be Andre the Giant, but it is more so the message that he said, especially as a kid, the training, the prayers, the vitamins, hopefully he was talking about vitamins like Flintstone vitamins, not whatever they were, doing. Yeah. But the message was there, and just that ultimate never give up, when he was down and all of a sudden he starts shaking like, and you knew he was going to come back, that's what I always remember about Hulk Hogan, that he was never out. He was never out. And when he started doing that, you knew that he was going to come back and get that victory. And so that's what I always remember.
I think for me, I think it's a two-part fold, right? I love the fact that he found Christ later in his life. Obviously he was baptized later, and that was a big part. Even in his store, he had beautiful shirts of John 3:16, so he's very vocal about that, which I, obviously being a Christian, I appreciate that. The second part to that, what I really appreciate, is the reality side of it. And, reality TV is what it is, reality TV. But seeing this guy, like seeing Brooke, who wasn't that much older than me, having like this dad figure, and like how wacky he was, and how I almost wanted my dad to be like that tough dad saying to the trainer, get out of the house, and Brooke, don't do this. Like it was so awesome to see, like, this because it was the first like I said, the first reality show. Like I knew this guy was a wrestler, but then he was also like a dad too. So to see like somebody famous be also like a dad to like a girl who I looked like, it was just cool to kind of get a glimpse in their life. And then obviously the background of wrestling. I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, me and Alex, my best friend, we do East 10th Street Boys together. We used to at night, it's like, man, you can't sleep. Let's go take a ride. We go to, of course, South Beach, and but they were like, want to go to Hogan's house? And we drive by Hogan's house. Not the first one. It was the one in Miami that he had. I don't know, Lou, if you ever seen it. It has that big gate out front. Kind of looks like Bin Laden's compound a little bit, just nicer. Sorry, but it's true. It's like very square. But I remember he used to go, dude, that's his car, but that was very cool. That's probably as close as I ever got to seeing Hogan live. Him going, get away from my house, brother. Josh, your favorite memory?
I'm not going to be I'm not going to be snarky and say all of his flub lines, like saying, the Superdome or whatever he was saying. No, but honestly, The Rock, WrestleMania, like we already brought it up. Him being able to me, rejuvenate his career, because that did. That can, the NWO rejuvenated his career. The moment with The Rock really gave him that second wind, that second career, that second time chance in WWE. And he had some good promos. He had some good programs. He did the whole Mr. America. He did a bunch of things that we didn't all expect him to do. The whole joke here in Tampa for the longest time is if Raw is in Tampa, 1000% of the time, it's Legends Night, brother. So, because they all live here. So we always have to go to Raw, spend all of our money, and see all these legends come out. And it was always like, okay, when's Hogan going to come out and say brother? And we'd always pop. Always. So I guess that right there is, for 20 years of my life, Legends Night, every Raw, that's what I had to deal with. And it was fun because, it's the Hogan night. To me, that's what it was. So I wonder what it's going to be now that he's gone. For real, like, is it going to be the Roman night? Is it going to be the John Cena night? Like, who's going to replace the big person when you need a legend to promote like a Saturday Night Main Event or a big show? Who's going to be that person now? Can't be John. Is it going to be Rock? Someone's going to replace that.
It's a great point. You took it from me. I'll tell you. I would say WrestleMania 18, Rock versus Hogan, was maybe my most favorite moment because this is a guy that I loved watching in WCW. When he was red and yellow, I was red and yellow. When he was black and white, I'm NWO black and white. I would go to Hollywood Video or Blockbuster and rent the old WrestleManias and watch them, and loved all his feuds. And if he was bad, it's like, hey, there's a reason why he's bad, man. He's damn cool. But when I saw him come to WWE, remember when McMahon said, I'm going to poison WWF, and you saw the NWO and it's Hogan. And when you see Hogan come out in No Way Out, and before he can even touch the mic, the crowd went nuts. He couldn't even talk. And then here comes WrestleMania 18. They did everything in their power to make him a heel. I didn't care if he was a heel or not. I'm going to cheer him. You go ahead. He's in Toronto. He comes out. The crowd is blowing up. They tried to say, they're screaming for Rock and Hogan. No, they weren't. They were screaming for Hogan. They weren't screaming for Rock. Rock wasn't the face there, to the fans. To watch that unfold, and to watch the match that he put on, and to watch him actually in live time on TV do what he knows to do best, and that is to work the crowd and to change the pace of the match for the crowd. All of a sudden now he's the strong one. Rock gets those cheap pops in, and then Hogan comes back, and you're watching a masterclass of what it is to be a superstar in professional wrestling. Like it's it's not easy being a wrestler. Nobody could do what Will Ospreay and what those other guys do at Benoit's and all that. Sorry, I know who.
I know Chris Benoit. No.
There you go. Okay. So
please, I know Chris Benoit, of course.
Hey, but you can't do what those guys do. But those guys could not do or can't do what Hogan did, and there's very few who can do that. And that's, if you want to see a masterclass of what it is to be a superstar, watch that match or watch what it means to be like a true generational guy. That's what Hogan was. And I'd say the second is. There's a lot, but the second that would be sticking out to me is right now. What you saw yesterday on SmackDown with the tributes and the crowd reaction. The last time we saw Hulk Hogan on TV was on Raw, and he was booed, and it kind of threw him back, and that was sad. First of all, it was more popular to hate Hogan because he was Hogan than it was because for anything else. Let's just be real. A lot of these younger guys, screw Hogan. It's like, you want to be cool. The fact of the matter is that was pretty freaking sad. So I was a little nervous yesterday. I was like, man, hopefully the fans don't mess this up. Hopefully it's like, let's honor, don't speak ill of the dead, whatever. And the fans were cheering. They were saying his name. They were screaming it. And you could see Jimmy Hart had tears in his eyes. The guys there were on the ramp, and you see that. What an amazing tribute video with Paul Levesque talking.
And it was Cleveland, and Cleveland's not the easiest city with anything,
Nothing.
So that tells you that.
That was really cool, and just to see all the outpouring of the memorials, the tributes, from people you never heard of, people you thought would probably crap on him. The Undertaker came out and said Hogan was, the biggest, things like that. Hogan and Undertaker didn't get along because, something back in the day. But even for those guys to come out, and even for people you don't even heard of, like, let me see, Linda Yaccarino, who was the ex-CEO of X. She said, it's surprising to some, but I've spent a significant portion of my career immersed in the world of professional wrestling. From the electrifying WCW era of the iconic Monday Night Nitro battles, if you know, there was no greater force of nature than Hulk Hogan. Yet, off camera, he was gentle and kind and always ready for a warm word or helping hand. Rest in peace, brother, to the ultimate legend who inspired generations. This is somebody you don't know who doesn't need to say a dang thing. She could just be safe and let it go. And that, again, you hear always like, oh, Hogan, man, he didn't care about you guys. He buried talent. He did this, he did that. But a lot of time I'm hearing, no, he took you into Diamond Dallas. This lady here who nobody knows, Vince McMahon. We know that's, it's a bad word now in the wrestling community, but he's still, again, you can't say professional wrestling without saying Vince McMahon. Same thing as Hogan. McMahon said, the world lost a treasure today. He released this on the 2 days ago. The world lost a treasure today. Hulk Hogan was the greatest WWE superstar of all time. Someone who was loved and admired around the world. He was a trailblazer. The first performer who transitioned from being a wrestling star into a global phenomenon. His grit and unbridled thirst for success were unparalleled and made him the consummate performer. He gave everything he had to the audience whom he appreciated, respected, and loved. He leaves us with one of his favorite expressions. Train, take your vitamins, and say your prayers. Today, we pray for him. See, The Rock did a real good thing, finishing up basically with thanks for the house, brother. There was something earlier I wanted to say there, something that was a little surprising to me. Matt Cardona, Matt Stryker, Chelsea Green was on, Josh, on one of the talk shows and was beaming with love to Hulk Hogan. And Matt Cardona says that he would not be a wrestler today if it wasn't for Hogan. Maurice was one that surprised me, and I thought I had it saved. Let me see if I could pull it up somewhere. Let me see if I pull that up.
Wife.
The Mrs. Wife, yeah. Let me see if I could pop that up here. Oh, here you go. Picture of her and Hulk backstage. She writes, still trying to process the loss of someone who made a big impact on my very first day in WWE. Hulk Hogan was the first person who ever took me under his wing. It was 2006. I had been eliminated from the Diva Search that night, and I was feeling crushed. I walked into the TV hotel after Raw in Cleveland, heels on, dragging the two giant suitcases up the stairs because there was no elevator, and suddenly I felt a hand on my left. It was Hulk, grabbing one of my bags, helping me the rest of the way up. He looked at me and said, "You look like you could sit down and have a cheeseburger and fries." We sat down in the hotel lobby restaurant and talked wrestling for over an hour. He shared stories, gave me incredible advice, and in that moment reminded me why I was there. That night changed everything for me. Over the years, we shared a great friendship. He always loved talking about our show, the kids, Mike, and the family. I'm forever grateful for that night, that conversation, and for knowing him. Rest in peace, Hulk. Thanks for everything. That one stood out. Why are you giggling?
It's just what I was thinking from the
Okay.
comments. It's like when CM Punk came in the company and like, oh, Cora Jade and all these girls in NXT. So, yeah, of course you are, Phil. A very hot diva, needed help,
I knew you were
selfless.
Gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that, bro. Oh
no,
my
but
god,
the comments already said it for me. I had to say it.
I didn't even see
no,
the
but
comments.
honestly,
They're not getting alert.
Yeah, see, I'm laughing at these comments, man. But here's the thing.
Oh, I
I didn't know that about Maurice. I had no idea Hogan, because you don't hear those things. You never hear that. You don't hear people openly talk about how Hogan helped their career these days because it's not cool to anymore. You'd look down on you. You'd be judged for it. You don't want to be associated with Hogan. That's how it was. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, listen, you guys mentioned also. Sorry, you mentioned about you got to be at a certain stratosphere to dictate how a match is going to go, and certainly Hogan had that reign, no problem. How about when he conceded the belt to the Ultimate Warrior? He didn't have to do that. He could have said, "No, screw that. I'm Hulk Hogan. It's not your time." He did that, right? He gave him the belt. I mean, that's how much more selfless can you get, or so.
Well, and he said it too. I mean, that was a time where when McMahon was trying to think past Hogan and was like, "Hey, let's go ahead and give it to Ultimate Warrior," and Hogan said, "I don't think he's ready," and he said, "But I'll do it," and he did it, and Warrior wasn't ready, and Warrior wanted to be like Hogan, held the business up, he tried to pull a Bret Hart, worked for a moment, and then McMahon fired him. Bret Hart tried to pull creative control, tried to say, "No, I'm not going to lose to Shawn Michaels," and we saw what happened there. But there's plenty of times where again, and you look back at the times where creative control worked or Hogan's voice worked, and it was like, I don't think that's going to work, and it didn't work. Hogan going, "Who's the third man?" "We're going with Sting." "No, you're going with me." What happened? He became the third man, NWO. Now look, NWO is the greatest faction in professional wrestling history. 30 years later, however it's been, still the biggest thing. People still buy the gear and everything else. That's why Josh is a great question earlier. Like, hey, we talk about the greatest heel turn. Will it still be Hulk Hogan 30 years from now, 50 years from now? And I think so. I think it will be. I think people, especially for those who are around or those even past who are still wrestling historians, can look at that impact and go, man, Hulk Hogan was the ultimate face. That was a guy you go, that guy would never turn heel. And then he went heel. And it was like, and when he goes, "I did this for the money, brother." And it's like, whoa, wait a second. But Hogan even said, Hogan goes, "Man, these people were booing me when I was still wearing the red heel." So I was like, let me try to go heel. And all of a sudden now they're cheering him. And he's like, I can't catch a boo. That's who Hulk Hogan was. And again, to put a bow on it, again, why he is and will be known as the biggest icon in professional wrestling. There will never be another Hulk Hogan. But Lou and Ashley, Ash, will start with you, and Lou, just follow up. Just your final thoughts on Hulk Hogan and his legacy for wrestling.
No, I mean, he's had such an impact on so many people. Even my grandmother, and I bring her up, whether it's Dolphin Talk or anything, and she was just so upset because she has so many. I see my grandfather, who was, God rest his soul, such a huge wrestling fan. So she drank the Kool-Aid, and she was like sending us pictures of him. So she was upset, and just whether you believed. Not whether you believed, let me see. Whether you loved wrestling, whether you didn't, you knew Hulk Hogan, and that it's so powerful. So, at the end of the day, somebody lost their husband, somebody lost their father. He put such a great impact on wrestling as a whole, and his legacy will live on forever.
No, agreed. He is a guy that transcends wrestling, everything. I mean, there's very few guys that you could drop off anywhere in the world and people will know him. You could do that with Hulk Hogan. You could drop him off anywhere in the world and people will say, that's Hulk Hogan. Not going to take away from Ozzy Osbourne, another legend who was lost this past week as well. But again, you're talking about demographics. Maybe, not everybody's into that music. He's a small in stature guy. Hulk Hogan is, gargantuan, and bigger than life. And so it's not just going to be like, it'll never go away. Hulkamania I think he's going to be bigger, believe it or not. I think there's going to be more stores opening up. Years from now, you're going to, think of Hulkamania like like Elvis. Elvis has been dead for 50 years, and Graceland's the second biggest selling, house or visited house other than the White House, and 50 years later, and so I think Hulk Hogan will have that kind of staying power, in my opinion. And I'll leave you with this. I'm actually, Josh, you mentioned Total Wine. I didn't get this at Total Wine. I tried, but I did get some Hulk Hogan Real American beer down here at the Big Daddy's Liquors. So I got it there. It's pretty awesome. And I'll show you one of the quotes. You want to hold it up?
Let me model
it's actually got a quote on it for all the racist people think that he's racist.
All right, you read it and I'll hold it up here.
The quote says,
you can't see it, but it's right here.
Yeah, you might not be able to see it, but
that's where
it says, America. Here, you want to read it?
No, I got terrible.
America. I don't know another word.
And I quote, America at its best when united. And if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's the simple pleasure of sharing a beer. There's more. That's why we started Real American Beer, to bring people together one beer at a time. Hulk Hogan. There
you go. I mean, I know it's a marketing thing. You'd say, yeah, of course.
No, he signed it. He signed it. That's his words.
I understand, but they could say, hey, this would be great for your image.
Yeah.
He could have done something else and said something else, but the final message there is uniting people, bringing people together. And at the end of the day, that's what he was about. And he'll be always remembered, in my opinion, as being the legend for all the memories that he gave to many, many people.
Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on here and share with us your thoughts and your experiences with Hulk Hogan. It's really cool. I appreciate you guys. And I know we'll be on again with each other soon. And it's not too far off. It's coming soon for the DCC. Yeah. It's going to be fun. So thank you guys so much. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, on social media, 305 Sports Babe on all social media platforms. Hubby here is Lou from Dade. Yep. And then obviously we own 305 Sports Travel, Dolphin Away Games, and we have the podcast, the SoFlo Sports Show. And then our travel channel is Are We There Yet, Babe?
Yeah, I love that.
It's
Lou wasn't sold on it at first. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes." You always ask me that when we're anywhere. Are we there yet, babe? So yeah.
And so if you go to 305 Sports Babe, which is the channel, that's where we have the most recent video is the Hulk Hogan store. Nice little tribute at the end. It's only a 7-minute video, and you can really get a grasp on everything that was being sold in that store. You can see Ashley wear the feather boa. And some cool stuff in that video too, so you can check that out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lou and Ashley, thank you guys so much. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having us. Catch you guys
later.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Josh. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Really appreciate you, brother. Two awesome people, man. Really got a lot of love for those two, and for Will too. Thank you guys, all three of you guys, for coming on. But man, jokes aside and all that, really cool to see a lot of the love being shared. Like you said, you hate seeing all the hate. It's like, come on, dude. Like, you not being the biggest fan, even you going like, come on, there's a time and a place. But to see a lot of the love coming out, that's really cool. What this whole time you're listening to this, what's on your mind? Like, what's in your head with this Hulk Hogan now that you've heard from people and all that?
There's 232 people watching right now, and if you know me at all as a real person, this isn't a surprise to you. Celebrity deaths don't ever hit me hard. They don't.
No.
And I'm not going to say that this one has. It hasn't. I don't know these people. They're in my life. I do pay attention to them, right? I do watch wrestling. I do pay attention to what these people are doing, whether it be in, sports, football, wrestling, music. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But I didn't know this person. He was just in my life every Monday night, sometimes occasionally once a Sunday, once a month. But it is a lot taken away from you, and people don't think about it. And I did think about something as you said something.
Yeah.
That made no sense. But you said like the character of Hulk Hogan dying. We watch television shows where we cry when Jon Snow dies. We cry when Glenn gets his face smashed in by Negan in the baseball bat. It's a TV character. We cried when Michael Scott left The Office and just left. Was taken off the show. These are TV characters. It's funny how that's what I was thinking about at that moment.
Yeah.
It's funny how we as people have these connections And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I cry during every single Disney movie there is. Soul, just watched that with my kid, bald. How to Train Your Dragon, the live action one, just watched that, freaking bald.
How was
Every
that?
time it's really good. I like
Really?
it.
Okay. Okay.
We love those movies though. We watch them all the time.
Here you go.
So like for me to not have this connection with these TV characters like a Hulk Hogan or celebrities in general.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says something about me as a person, like, or is it just I don't know what it is, Bobby. But I don't feel like when Ozzy, I listen to Ozzy.
Yeah.
I didn't have a feeling. Jimmy Buffett's my favorite, most favorite. I've seen him in concert more than anybody. I know every single song by heart. He's my go-to guy. I love Jimmy Buffett. When he died, everyone was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." I still have his music. I didn't know him. I never spoke with him a day in my life. So it's hard for me to have feelings about people that I never met. And I know that sounds weird to people, the 230 something people watching, but that's just the facts of reality to me.
No,
So
I think that's fair, man.
Different.
Yeah, when I realized Han Solo was going to die in The Force Awakens, I was like, please don't do it. Oh,
that was spoiled for me, by the way, on the way to the movies.
No.
On the way to the movies, someone texted me that. Yeah. I was so mad. Because Han Solo is my favorite character of all time.
How many times do people spoil things for you, bro? Didn't your wife do it
brother.
too? Oh my gosh, man.
They like to do it. They love to do it. They love
I can just see your face. It's like Han Solo dies. Fuck, throw the phone. Like, don't look at your phone, bro. You know. But
I'm off social media, brother. No, but I know Sander was just joking in the chat, like cold-hearted. It's not cold-hearted. I feel like it's more of a I don't know how to put it. I just don't know how to put it. They're not my family.
But no, I got you. I got you.
But they're part of your family because you see them in your household every Monday night. You know, when Eddie Guerrero died, I cried. But I was a lot younger back then. I had less responsibilities. I had less people to take care of. I had no kids. You know, so I think that's another thing is I'm growing up. And so these things I take a little bit less. But damn it, I'm really burying this memorial show, ain't I, brother?
No. No, I think I get it. I get it. You know, how about we leave it with this? Just legacy in general. Okay. Not about the feelings of it. Where does Hogan, what's Hulk Hogan's legacy to you in professional wrestling now that his life is over?
It's he's gonna go down as the greatest of all time. He's gonna go down as I think you said it best, the Michael Jordan of wrestling, the Dan Marino, I guess, or Tom Brady or whoever you want to say of the NFL, the greatest of all time in that sport. And it's gonna take time for people to.
I'm trying to say something nice. I'm trying to get something that he could bring up. He could say he thinks he's trash, which we have.
But it's gonna take some time for people to fully appreciate Hulk Hogan's legacy because of the feelings and because of the right now and because of everything that's going on in this world at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think people are just upset in general. This is no joke. I had Blue Sky on my phone and Twitter on my phone. I had a burner account on Twitter just to pay attention to training camp for football because I do a fantasy football show and it's very important for me to know this stuff. So I only followed like the beat writers, and no one knew what that account was. I deleted Twitter and Blue Sky because I'm so sick of hearing about Trump every fucking day of my life. I'm so over it, and I think people are just angry and mad. And they just want to bash something and someone. So that's I think that's the way we are in 2025.
If I did not have the network and just staying in touch with sports and staying in touch with some people, I would have deleted it a long time ago. The toxic atmosphere, the negativity, the hate, the bullshit, I would have deleted it a long freaking time ago, man. But yeah, you can separate the man from the performer. It's also fun to troll. That's right, Sander. I hear you, my man. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody, man. We have 250 people watching right now live. Watching No Holds Barred Wrestling podcast here on FTSN, remembering Hulk Hogan, the biggest icon in wrestling. Maria, DSG, Justin, Sandor, who obviously loves Game of Thrones. Appreciate you, my man.
I do want to add something before we do, because I know you're about to wrap it up. And he said it perfectly.
You're good.
You can separate the man from the performer. It's also fun to troll. If it's lighthearted, yes, like what I read a comment, and so I believe you, Sandor, brought it up yourself, like he couldn't even, let Ozzy get the pop for a second. He had to steal the pop. Like that stuff is funny to me. It is. But going on there going, Hulk Hogan was a racist and this and that and this and that. He deserves it. Good. F this. There were so many people I read in the fantasy football community that were posting this stuff. And it just made me sick. And I'm like, do I really like you people? Do I want to be associated with you people? No, I don't. And that's how I felt about the whole situation. He's a performer. He's a man. He's a man. He's a father. He's a person. He's a human being. And it sucks that we lost somebody else. That's it.
There you go. DSG says, give us a Hulk pose, Josh. Cup the year.
Hulk pose. Which one do you want to hear? Just my friend. Oh, this one. I'll say this. It is so cool to this day when he does the ear thing, and instead of just like doing this, he just falls on the ropes. Like he falls on the ropes. That's so cool to me. I always thought that was cool. Like
that was always the biggest example of working the crowd, because he could go, oh no, you're not good. I'm go here, and then the crowd would get louder. He knew, and then of course the famous pose. I mean, you just bam, bam, bam. You just wrap it up. But
my best friend growing up, George Vasquez, by the way, my best friend in the history of the world when I was a littler person. He's a lot older than me, a little bit older, maybe about 10, 15 years older than me. He was a cook and I was a dishwasher at a restaurant. He was the biggest Hulkamania I've ever met in my life. He told me the story and he was not ashamed of it. And his parents backed it up. When Hogan turned heel that night, he ripped the poster of Hogan off his wall, tore it in half, took all of his merch, ripped it up and said, it just pretty much went on a rant of an anti-Hogan for like 10 years straight of how much Hogan disobeyed him, or not disobeyed him, but ruined everything. And then he hates Hogan now. And he thought it was real. And George, if you're watching, which I'm sure you're not, I love you for that, brother. I'll always associate that moment with you. Just always trolling you about Hulk Hogan 2 was so much fun.
There you go.
That's how to say it.
Well, Maria, DSG, Lou, Ashley, Crazy Dolphin, Sandor. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing nobody. Scroll through. If I do, forgive me. Lark Bark, Adrian of Rainy Day Pod, Utah Fins fan. Let's see here. My goodness.
And props to Hogan for keeping the bandana cool and strong.
Yeah, that's right.
Even in 2025. I went through a bandana stage.
Let's see here. A lot of people tune in. So guys, first off, Josh Wingate, appreciate you all. Justin Toner of the Ruckus Entertainment Podcast, Adrian of the Rainy Day Pod. Guys, go check out Adrian and the Rainy Day Podcast. You love wrestling, you love sports, go check him out. Awesome dude. Maybe more than likely will be on his show twice next week for wrestling. But that's Josh Kimmel. I'm Bobby Melendez. Like and subscribe, and R.I.P. Hogan. Take your vitamins, say your prayers, and good evening. See you all next week. Brother. I'm not going to rip a shirt. I don't have a Publix bag. If I did, I'd do it. Later, guys.